Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another unboxing video. This is a series of videos where I am highlighting the componentry that I am going to be using on a customer's Outback build. Ritchie Outback is their gravel bike. And in this particular case, we are going to be using this handlebar, which is the most flared of their options. This is their Discover Alloy 30 handlebar. And you can see, of course, 31/8 for the clamp size. You can see it's got a 90 millimeter drop. Now, it's got a 5-degree back sweep and a 30-degree flare. Now, this is what the bar looks like. And it's hard to capture it all in the frame. There we go. Okay. So when they talk about sweep, so this is where the handlebar will be clamped, right? And you're riding the bike. So I've orientated these bars so that you're the one that's looking at them, looking down as you're seated in the cockpit. Or seated. So when they say 5-degree sweep, if you drew a line directly across like this, that's where this hand position would be. But in fact, it's sweeping back a little bit. So it's only 5 millimeters of sweep, but it's enough to have a little bit of a sweep. And what that does is it allows you to ride a longer stem. Let's say, for example, and I mentioned this in a previous video on the EE Silk stem, suspension stem, which I can provide a link down below. When I do bike fits, there's two most egregious things I see wrong. Saddle height is the first one. The second is a lot of people ride too short of a stem. And the stem's too short, and they don't bend their elbows with a longer stem. A longer stem gives more stability to the handling of the bike, makes it more neutral the closer you get to the steering axle. Beyond the steering axle, the bike reacts even slower, but more predictable. So slower in finger quote. So if you ride a longer stem, you still have a sweep, a 5-degree sweep, or whatever that handlebar has. So here, when your hands are next to the stem, it may seem far, but then with the sweep, the bar comes back a little bit for you, okay? I know some of you, it's counterintuitive, but the longer the stem, the more stable the bike handles. Okay, anyway. So that's what they mean by sweep. And then flare, if you notice here, this is where normally the drop would come down, and that's where you would grab the bar. But in fact, it's over here. And so that's 30-degree flare. Now when I called in trying to find the correct bar width for the customer, when I called in to Shimano, the gentleman just didn't know where this bar, what the width of this bar would be. So if you go into their Pro bike, so you go into, because Pro is a division of Shimano, it does their components, right? Handlebars, stems, seat posts, saddles, even burrito bags. So I used a complete suite of these on Paris Press Paris. So I had a frame bag, I had a bag in the back of the seat post, and then I also had a top tube bag. And so now, also for Jess and I got us these burrito bags for the handlebar. Okay, so there is a chart that tells you the actual widths of their handlebar. So if you go down and you search for the bar, the Alloy 30 is So it comes in 40, 42, and 44. And then the width at the drop, center to center. So this is a 42, I believe I purchased for the gentleman. Yeah, it's a 42. At center to center, this is 52 centimeters from here to here. Okay, so 42 at the top, and then 52 here. So something to consider when you're looking at the flare dimensions. You know, do you want, let me put the bars so that you're looking at them. Depending on what you want up here, you know, taking into consideration how much flare you want here and then how wide that bar is. Because you might find that it's just too wide in a 30-degree flare, right? So it's 52 center to center. And I guess we can test that real quick. Make sure that the spec being called out by the tech chart is correct. This is when a B-roll would work really well. Yeah, center to center. Looks like I'm getting 54. Yeah, looks like I'm getting 54 center to center. Pretty hard to show that. Sorry, it's very difficult to show that. But anyway, that's the handlebar. Now, we went with an aluminum bar because the customer says, I'm really rough on my equipment. And so I said, okay. So we went with an aluminum bar. Now, there is some trepidation on my part to ride a carbon frame for gravel. I don't know that that makes a lot of sense. You're going to crash. Handlebars, you know, they stick out pretty far, especially with a 30-degree flare. Who knows whether you should go carbon or not there. And wheels, I mean, at some point you're going to flat, sealant's not going to work, and you're going to bottom out. So maybe you're riding inserts on your carbon gravel wheels. But there are certain points on the bike that I just don't think carbon makes a lot of sense. And when I built my Outback, I had a bunch of parts that I put on that bike. So I had a carbon handlebar. I had, I forget what seat posts I put on that bike. I don't ride it. It's just, I'm a roadie. But yeah, I'll probably start riding it more often at some point. So yeah, there it is. The Pro Alloy 30 handlebar from Pro Components. The Discover line is their gravel bike series. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you up the road.